The floor isn't lava, not yet anyway, but a quiet part of North America is already failing beneath our feet, and almost nobody notices because it isn't loud. There are no movie-style cracks ripping of the continent has already lost tens of miles of its foundation. Not the surface, not the dirt you walk on, but the deep structural layer that keeps the ground stable in the first place. The kind of layer scientists once believed was basically immortal. For decades, geologists thought North America sat on one of the strongest foundations on Earth. Ancient, thick, stubborn chunks of rock called cratons, the deep roots of continents, had survived everything imaginable. Meteor impacts, super volcanoes, entire oceans opening and closing. When tectonic plates collided, mountains formed. When they pulled apart, new seas were born. But through all of that chaos, cratons barely flinched. They were the geological equivalent of cockroaches, indestructible, untouchable, or so we thought. Then scientists started listening more closely to the Earth, using dense networks of seismic sensors, essentially giving the planet a full-body imram is. Researchers discovered something nobody expected. Those supposedly unbreakable roots under North America are thinning, not cracking violently but slowly dripping downward into the mantle like melting wax. In some regions, as much as 37 miles of rock has already peeled away from the bottom of the continent. And the wild part is that this isn't caused by earthquakes, volcanoes, or surface erosion. It's happening quietly, deep below, where nobody can see it. The culprit is an ancient tectonic plate called the Farallon Plate. Over 100 million years ago, it began sliding the under from North America. Imagine pulling on a frozen slab of butter while gently warming it at the same time. The surface of the United States is sinking much faster. And that part is happening on a human timeline. Across the country, entire cities are slowly lowering themselves into the ground. Since the early 2000s, researchers have measured steady subsidence in dozens of major metro areas. New York, Baltimore, Houston, Charleston. In some places, the land is sinking fractions of an inch per year. That sounds harmless until you realize many coastal cities sit only a few feet above sea level. Charleston, for example, barely clears 9 feet. When the land drops and the ocean rises at the same time, flooding stops being a once-in-a-century disaster and starts becoming a regular inconvenience. Streets flood on sunny days. Cars get abandoned. Salt water creeps into farmland. Forests drown standing upright. Sage. Massive ice sheets once crushed the northern United States under their weight, pushing the crust downward. When the ice melted, the land didn't rebound evenly. Some areas rose, others sank. The continent has been seesawing ever since in a slow process called glacial isostatic adjustment. That alone would be manageable. But humans found a way to make it worse. We pump groundwater out of the earth like it's an infinite resource. Aquifers that took thousands of years to fill are drained in decades. When water leaves, the ground compacts. Think of pulling stuffing out of a mattress. California's Central Valley has dropped by several feet in some areas because of this. Then there's the weight problem. Cities like New York aren't just sinking because of water loss. They're being pressed down by their own mass. The total weight of New York City's buildings is estimated at over 1 trillion pounds. Stack enough concrete and steel on soft sediments, and the ground simply gives up over time. Add dams into the mix and things get worse. Rivers no longer deliver fresh sediment to coastlines, which means land that should naturally rebuild itself instead collapses. Wetlands, infrastructure that wasn't designed to sit below sea level, highways, power grids, airports, begins to fail. But even that isn't the full picture, because while the ground sinks quietly, the planet's tectonic machinery keeps moving. On the West Coast, the land isn't just sinking, it's sliding. California is slowly drifting north along a massive fault system, not falling into the ocean despite what movies love to show, but gliding sideways at roughly the speed your fingernails grow. Over tens of millions of years, Los Angeles could end up near Alaska. That alone wouldn't erase the country, but it highlights something deeper. Nothing about the continent's position is fixed. And then there's Cascadia. Off the Pacific Northwest coast lies one of the most dangerous fault systems on Earth, the Cascadia Subduction Zone. It's been quiet for centuries, which is exactly why scientists are worried. Geological records show it produces massive earthquakes every few hundred years. The last one struck in 1700, unleashing a magnitude 9 quake and a tsunami that crossed the Pacific and hit Japan. The next one could happen tomorrow or decades from now. But when it does, it won't just shake buildings. It will reshape the coastline, cut off transportation, destroy infrastructure, and displace millions. The aftermath could take years to recover from, assuming recovery is even possible in some regions. And earthquakes aren't always loud at first. New research suggests many begin with slow, silent movement deep underground, cracks that creep quietly before accelerating into violent rupture. If that sounds unsettling, it should be. It means some disasters start long before we feel them. Now zoom out. Continents themselves are drifting. South America is slowly moving west. Africa is pulling apart from within. Oceans open. Oceans close. In deep time, the Atlantic could stop widening and begin shrinking. Continents that once split apart may collide again. Mountain ranges will rise where coastlines used to be. Borders will mean nothing to geology. So when people ask whether it's possible for the United States to still exist as we know it by the end of this century, the honest answer isn't dramatic collapse overnight. It's something quieter and harder to fight. The land beneath the country is thinning in places. The surface is sinking in others. The coasts are eroding. Faults are loading energy. Water is rising. And the systems holding everything together were never designed for this many pressures at once. The country doesn't need to fall into the ocean to stop functioning the way it does today. It just needs enough small failures happening at the same time. The Earth isn't hostile. It's indifferent. And it never promised that continents were permanent, only that they change slowly enough for us to forget they're moving at all.